This is the Weather Lounge here at WeatherWorks.
Well, hello, friends, and welcome back to the Weather Lounge. I'm your host, meteorologist Brad Miller, and our podcast comes to you from our WeatherWorks headquarters here in Hackettstown, New Jersey. My co-host, Mike Mahalik, is putting the finishing touches on the first winter preview. So joining me today here in the Weather Lounge is our producer and occasional co-host of the podcast, meteorologist Mike Priante. Hey there, Mike.
Hey, yeah, I'm the different Mike today,
Yeah.
filling in for the Mahalik of the
Yeah,
world.
but you're still a very integral part of the podcast. We couldn't do the podcast without you. You do all the background stuff and all the editing and making it sound good for us when we mess up.
That's true. I am in charge of all that, and
Yeah.
hopefully this episode does get edited right, or else, I'm going to hear about it. So,
Yeah, we thought we'd have a little fun today. So, Mike, of course, you listen to music, right?
I mean, sometimes. Why?
Well, I mean, if you haven't noticed, and I'm sure you know, weather is a big part of a lot of the songs that we listen to, not only today, but going back 40, 50 years. So, we thought it'd be nice to discuss, weather in music. How about that topic?
That sounds about right. I remember the last episode that we recorded, I was really talking about, just how great, weather and music is. And we were talking about, I think it was the Weather Records
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
And I was really upset that you guys did not tell me that it was not about actual records, like vinyl records. I thought I came into this episode prepared. And meanwhile, you guys just throw a curveball and you're like, hey, this is going to be about, the different types of like weather extremes and I'm like, I have a Billy Joel record right here talking about Stormfront. Like I have all my favorite songs. So I'm happy that we're going to be diving into this.
Yeah,
today.
vinyl records are kind of making a comeback now lately.
Oh,
too,
yeah.
So.
Yeah, they've been making a big comeback in the past decade or so. I mean, it's funny how they kind of jumped CDs when CDs was going to be the main thing. But yeah, I mean, I think we might need some help, and it's funny that I'm mentioning this because usually it's you, Brad, kind of introducing.
Yeah, me and Mike bring you in.
Right, but I think it's interesting that we bring in this person into the podcast. She's been on, I believe, another episode back in the day talking about weather and health. Her name is Jen Diorio, and she is a WeatherWorks meteorologist. So, Jen, thanks for joining the podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm happy to be involved in such a fun podcast topic and really looking forward to talking about weather in the music.
Yeah, and Jen, like Mike just said, you were a part of our podcast episode called "Weather and Your Health." What, a year or two ago? I can't remember.
Yeah, I would say it was about a year ago.
I'd have to go back into the archives, but we probably are a little bit overdue for having you on the podcast again. So it's good to have you now.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, and Jen will bring a wealth of information about the music part of things. I'm sure.
Yeah, I heard she's a big Swiftie. Is that right?
Oh, just a tad.
Just a little bit.
tad,
Okay.
Just a little, but in addition to my Taylor Swift crazy fan status, I am just a big avid music listener. So,
And you were just at a concert too. You went. Which one did you go to? The MetLife one?
I went to I saw Taylor Swift at MetLife. But yeah, I've been to a couple other concerts this year, and I still have a few more planned. So I love music. Just a great way to for whatever mood you're in, to listen to music, whether you want to escape a little bit, to have a pump up session, whatever you want. And I actually like quite a wide genre of music types and styles, so I'm looking forward to this for sure.
And that's good because I'll bring in all the early stuff since I'm older than both you guys. I'll have more of the Def Leppard, Van Halen type of music genre going back there. But again, I like all music too, even a lot of the current stuff. But at least I'll have Mike and Jen to bring up all the last 10 to 15 years, which I've kind of lost touch with. It's amazing because back in the day, and like my parents would be like, "Oh, you don't know what good music is," and now, I listened to the 80s and 90s, and that was like my time of great music to me, at least. And then, I tell my kids, you don't know what good music is, and then they're like, music you listen to, Dad, isn't that
Back in
great?
my day,
Yeah,
we listened
yeah,
to.
yeah. Well, I wasn't that young then, but anyway. All right, so let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll dive into today's topic again. There is weather in the music. Stay with us.
Hey everybody, well, how many times have you been burned by a weather forecast? Well, probably a few, and it might have cost your business thousands. WeatherWorks is different. We have over 30 meteorologists to give you forecasts, notifications, and weather advice 24/7. Now that could certainly help when it comes down to making those crucial decisions, but there are even more products than that in which WeatherWorks offers, from weather data to historical reports. Call us at 908-850-8600 or visit us on the web at weatherworksinc.com. And don't forget, when you think weather, think WeatherWorks.
And welcome back here in the Weather Lounge. I am one of your hosts for this episode, meteorologist Michael Prianti, joined with, of course, Brad Miller and our special guest, Jen DiOrio. Hey guys, we're back again, and we're going to jump right into today's topic, which is there's weather in the music. So how do we want to start this off?
I was thinking, I don't know if Jen agrees, precipitation type maybe. Maybe we'll
Yeah.
do it that way.
Okay,
Let's do it.
that sounds like a plan. Who wants to go first? Any takers?
I'll
You want
jump
to kick
in
us off, Brad?
because yeah, I mean we'll start with rain. Obviously, that's the most popular. Well, it's not probably the most popular precip type, but it's not according to the I-95 snow lovers. But we'll start with rain, and probably the first one that pops into everyone's mind. Now, again, this is before my time. I'm not aging myself that much, but the first one I could think of is like "Singing in the Rain" by Gene Kelly. I mean, who hasn't heard that song at some point in their life, right?
Oh yeah, no, I mean I've heard it multiple times used. Whether it's in a commercial,
Right,
I mean they use a lot of these songs in like even more modern movies too.
right.
I mean you hear it in the background, and you got to think like, wow, what's that song? That's a great song, and multiple generations.
Yeah.
I'm assuming have heard
Well,
this.
that was
Just
actually the name of the movie too. I was just quick Googled it. I mean, I think I knew that anyway. "Singing in the Rain" was back in 1952. It was like a musical slash romance. But you remember him dancing around in the street.
I was just
I'm,
gonna say
I'm
with
sure
the
it's fake rain
umbrella.
coming
Yeah.
down on him. But I mean, who doesn't remember that song? I mean, that's a great song.
And so
right.
many people now, like dancers, singers, redo
Right.
that and make a production out of it. So I mean, I feel like most people have probably heard of that song.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, again, since I was a big 80s, 90s fan of music, we can mention, Prince, of course, had Purple
Oh,
Rain.
Purple
That's
Rain.
Yes.
another
What a
good
good
one.
song. Yeah, that's a great song.
Um,
All of Prince's songs are pretty good.
yeah, yeah. And then the Eurythmics, remember them with Annie Lennox? They did "Here Comes the Rain Again." I mean, who
I
doesn't remember that?
I might know the song, but I don't know if I know about the group, Eurythmics. I don't think I do, but
They
if
sing Sweet Dreams.
okay,
Yeah.
then I do know,
"Sweet
yeah.
Dreams" are yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was a song that they
I
did.
think I think I know more songs than I do the artists, which is
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
if
Right.
that's a common theme because it's like, "I've heard of that song, that's a good song. Oh, yeah, it's sung by this group," and you're like, "I've never heard of
Who?
them before in my life." Yeah,
Yeah.
like, "What?"
Especially the older stuff for me, like songs that like, I've heard my mom or my dad play and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I know that song. I like it." And
yeah.
then it's like this group and I'm like, "Never heard of them."
Right,
Now,
right.
speaking of dreams too, there was a song called "Dreams" by Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, of
And now
course.
that isn't really pertaining to the weather, but the lyrics always went, "Thunder only happens when it's raining," which is, I guess, true to a point. You can't have thunder even though it's not raining, but it's probably raining somewhere because that thunder is being produced by a
Have
storm.
you ever noticed though, whenever there's like a storm and sometimes it's like lightly raining and then you hear a big crash of thunder and all of a
Yeah,
sudden it starts pouring? I just noticed that every single time. I wonder if there's I wonder if there's kind of a connection between that, or if that's just a coincidence. Because every time I just hear a crash of thunder, all of a sudden the rainfall rates just intensify. I don't know if that's because the storm has finally gotten to the area and it just takes a little bit of lag time for the rainfall to make it to the ground, or if there's some sort of maybe the column of water just decides to just get dumped on when the thunder just when lightning kind of strikes. I don't know. Just something interesting that I noticed.
That might honestly be my favorite weather reference if I had to
yeah.
say,
No,
because
you're
that
right.
song is
You're right.
just fantastic.
All right, I'll finish with one more, then you guys can talk about a few. But another one that always pops in my head, and I mean, I was really young when this one came out, but it's called it's Raining Men.
No, I've heard of that song.
Right, that was written. Now the funny thing is about not only was the song called Raining Men, that was their biggest hit. The group themselves was called the Weather Girls. How about that?
Is that a one-hit wonder, Brad?
Yeah, they were back. I think like 1982 or something.
Yeah.
It was their one hit, but
Disco era kind of.
yeah, coming out of the disco area, I guess. But I mean, I was so young, I don't even remember it. But it's just funny that you have a song called "Raining Men" by the Weather Girls. So kind of neat.
Yeah, it's I'm listening. I'm looking at the lyrics right now, and there's one thing where it's like humidity is rising, barometer's getting low,
There you go.
place to go because it's gonna rain, men. It's just like, all right, interesting that. I mean, there's a lot of weather references in this song that just you always hear the "it's raining men" part, but like a lot of the lyrics are really like weather related, which is kind of funny. All right, well, I mean, obviously, Brad has kind of mentioned a lot about stuff from the '80s, the '70s, and of course, he threw us all the way back to the '50s. So I'm going to bring it back, or at least bring it forward all the way into the mid 2000s. It's not on the list, but I forgot to put it on there. It is a song which not a lot of people know about because it's not something that was very popular from this band. But it's called "Rainy Day,"
Hmm.
and it's by a band called Coldplay.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
and it's off their album Viva La Vida. It's I think it's a B-side, if I'm not
Yeah, I was
mistaken.
gonna say it's not one of their biggest
No,
songs,
it
but
is
No,
like
I'm big Coldplay.
I
I'm a
like
big Coldplay
Coldplay. Yeah.
fan, and I actually that's not one I'm familiar with.
yeah, it's on their album. It was one of their EPs called Prospects March. And they had a ton of songs that didn't really get featured on the Viva La Vida album. But it's interesting because the lyrics to this song, it's pretty obviously they mention like there was rain and the sky was gold and green. It's almost like the song is kind of about how there's kind of like a silver lining in the
Yeah.
sky despite the fact that everything's kind of crumbling around you. It's more of a somber song, but there's also kind of like a silver lining to the clouds. And every
Well, if the
time I
sky
hear
is
it,
green, they better look out for hail.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I also noticed Coldplay talks quite a lot about the sky, whether it's rain or not. But they have a
Yeah.
sky full of stars.
Oh
They,
yeah, yeah.
in Yellow, they talk about look at the stars, look how they shine for you. Um, you know, they talk about the sky quite a bit.
And speaking of Coldplay, I'll tell you one of the best halftime shows I've seen probably ever during the Super Bowl was the Beyonce Coldplay halftime show. I can't remember what year it was, but it was
Yeah,
awesome. If you ever go back to watch it, it's on YouTube. It's great.
and they bring out Bruno Mars too
Yeah,
for a
Bruno
little
Mars came
bit.
in at the end, right?
It was
Which,
yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say, Mike. Speaking of Bruno Mars, he does have a song as well called "It Will Rain." But
Yes.
anyway, back to Coldplay. Yeah, no, I agree. That was a fantastic halftime show, in my opinion.
And it was also, I think, the Coldplay halftime show was during the daytime because if you remember, this was on the West Coast. So they started it early, and so it was like I think it was like 7 o'clock when this happened on the West Coast time, and it was still daytime. So like it's so weird. Whenever you see a halftime show, you think it's like dark or it's like but this was during the day. So like it was a challenge for them because they had to basically perform during the daytime. There was no like lights or like special effects, smoke, and it was kind of like they just had to make the best performance they can. And I mean, Coldplay is great for doing that, so there was really no question there. But I think bringing in like Bruno Mars and Beyonce, that was pretty much just like that kind of hit the nail on the head right there for making it a really good show. So but anyway, not to ramble on about Coldplay because I could talk the entire podcast about it. We could be 2 hours in, and I'd still be talking about their like fifth song. Um, but yeah, Jen, I guess do you
Yeah,
want
Jen, what
to
do you got for
introduce
us?
some songs for us?
Sure. Well, yeah, if I'm gonna take it to, I'll take it to kind of really recent years, since I have already said I am a Swiftie, so we'll talk about Taylor Swift first. So, just on her last album's Midnights, which was released October of last year, she released a song called Midnight Rain. And she kind of does a comparison of her and this person who she was in a previous relationship with, of that he was sunshine and she was midnight rain. So Taylor Swift talks about rain quite a lot, actually. But I think that was kind of more one of the memorable ones for me. And the other one is Sparks Fly, which is off of her Speak Now album. The lyric in that is drop everything now, meet me in the pouring rain. There's also another lyric that says the way you move is like a full-on rainstorm. So that's another banger in my opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just but like I said, Taylor Swift has another song called Come In With the Rain. There's a ton of rain references in Taylor Swift songs. Mike could talk about Coldplay all day. I could talk about Taylor Swift all day.
Right.
So we will move on from her. But Adele has a couple of rain references as well. Set Fire to the Rain is a really good one.
Of course.
She also has another song called Right as Rain. We have Rain on Me by Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande.
That's a good
pretty
song.
good one as well. Umbrella by Rihanna. Better have that umbrella in the rain. That's all I'm going to say about that.
We got some country singers in there too, though.
Yeah, we do. We do. We have When It Rains, It Pours by Luke Combs. Rain is a Good Thing by Luke Bryan. I don't know. Is anyone a big country fan here? I'm personally not.
I'm not a huge fan, but
I'm not a big fan of country, and hopefully the country singer listeners to this podcast are not upset by that. But look, I'm not like totally against country. It's just that there's certain songs that start to almost sound the same in a way. I don't know, but I do know that they do use a lot of imagery of like weather and stuff, like storms specifically. They use a lot of imagery on storms. Which funny enough is I think the next thing on our list here as we jump into the next, not really precip type, but just sort of the type of weather.
Hold on. Before we go over to storms, I got to give one more.
All right.
Big shout out, because it's one of my favorite songs, and I don't know how I skipped through it, but my favorite song, I think, by Guns N' Roses is November Rain.
November Rain.
Yeah, that was a great song. I mean, it's it's just one of those things when, as you're growing up, you remember as a song, and I love that song. I think a lot of people, it was a very popular song in the early 90s.
And if I'm going to give one more rain shout out too, have you ever seen The Rain by CCR?
CCR, no, that's another one.
Creedence Clearwater. What a good song.
Yeah.
Coming Down on a Sunny Day.
Yeah, that's right. CCR was
just great song there.
Yeah.
But okay, yeah, let's jump into storms. And tons of songs have the mention of storms. Just for me to start off from something more recent. I know I mentioned I even kind of previewed one song that was from Billy Joel, Stormfront. That just to kind of mention that first before I jump into more.
Too, right?
Yeah, so the whole album is actually a kind of a hurricane flag. And I think I have the album. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna go take a look at it. But you continue. But Brad, I guess you can continue a song while I go get the album.
All right.
Hold on a second.
Yeah. One that I kind of remember. I was barely even like born, but I think my parents used to listen to it. My dad used to listen to it. I know that it was called "Riders on the Storm." It was by the Doors. That was Jim Morrison, of course. Yeah, that was Jim Morrison, and again, that's one of those old school. You sit in the dark listening to "Riders on the Storm." The Doors, of course, are very popular back in the '70s, even into the '80s. But that was that's kind of a neat song. And another one, maybe not Storm as much, but "Rock You Like a Hurricane," and that's still used today in a lot of movies.
Oh
by
yeah,
the Scorpions. Rock you like a hurricane.
And let's not forget about Guitar Hero.
Oh yeah, yes.
That was a big one in Guitar Hero.
Yep.
Oh my God.
My youth jamming out in the living room trying to play "Rock You Like a Hurricane."
Also Thunderstruck. AC/DC.
Yes. Huge
That was
one.
such
AC.
a good that's such a good song. And just one thing that I remember in college, it was there was a game that you'd play with Thunderstruck. I can't say the name of the game because it is it that does have some profanity in it. It's Thunder blank. If you can fill in the blank there instead of
Yeah,
struck,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So essentially, in the
Just Penn
song,
State things now.
you know how it is.
Yes.
But in basically the game was essentially like because the song, if you listen to it, it takes a while for them to like go into the chorus. It's always like
Mhm. It's like a build
thunder,
up. Yep.
Yeah.
thunder, and then like the song, and then thunder. And well, yeah, I mean, if you can understand how the game worked in college, every time the word thunder, you had to obviously drink your beverage. And then as it got to the chorus, you had to continue to drink the beverage until the word thunder happened again. And if you know that chorus, it takes a while for the thunder to pop up. And then there's the of course the not the chorus, but the beginning, and then it goes into the chorus where he says thunderstruck. And then either way, it was a fun game, and I would not recommend it though. It's not for the
Not
lighthearted.
for the
So
faint of heart. Yes.
no, not at all. But I thought that's a good song overall, even if you're not drinking anything, right?
There was an old song, and the only reason I put this in down is because I said I like the name of the singer. I just looked it up what year it was, 1942. It's a song called "Stormy Monday Blues" by T-Bone Walker. I just kind of like the name of the artist, but yeah, it's still "Stormy Monday Blues." That's another one.
I'm gonna have to look up all these songs now and
Some of
listen to
them,
them and see if I can put them on my Spotify, because yeah, there's a lot of songs that I've never heard of before, and they're
yeah,
weather related, and I'm like, I need more weather related songs in my playlist.
And
So
that
I
would
need.
yeah.
be one of them that I've never heard of. But take us back to Billy Joel for a second
Oh yeah,
there,
that's right. Hold
Mike.
on a second. I got the. I mean, obviously this isn't a video, so everyone that's listening to our podcast can't see the video. But I do have the album, and if you could see
That
it,
is very cool.
It
Hurricanes.
Yes.
is it is a hurricane flag. It's really cool. And I mean, obviously, it's like
Oh,
it's.
wow, he's young there. That's
Oh
an
yeah,
early
this
one.
was
Yeah.
what was this? This was 1989 is
Wow.
when this album came out. And I mean, there's two songs on the album that really spark weather. Obviously, one is that's on this category is Stormfront. But the other one was the Downeaster Alexa.
Downeaster Alexa, yeah, that was about
Yeah.
his daughter, but that's a great song.
Yes, yes. The only two that kind of have weather-related names in it. Otherwise, I mean, "We Didn't Start the Fire" came from this album.
Oh, yes.
It's such a iconic song. Just pretty much every single history teacher in the world uses this. I will say that every single history teacher in the world uses this song to teach about history. And if you don't, you probably should.
Yeah, it sums up the '80s and '90s in about 4 or 5 lines.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. And then there was the most recent version that I think Fallout Boy did. Right? They updated it. Did you
Oh,
Oh,
hear
did they?
did
I
that?
didn't know
they?
that.
I
Yes,
didn't know
they
that.
updated the lyrics, and
I'll
they
have to check
released
that out.
a cover. Yeah, it pretty much goes from where it stops, so like the late '90s all the way through now.
I'm a
Um,
little disappointed in myself, to be completely honest, because I'm a Long Islander. Billy Joel's from Long
Yeah.
Island. He grew up in the same town that my mom did, and I
Oh
did
wow.
not know. Yeah, my mom actually went to see him when the Piano Man song, that bar, my mom used to go to that bar and see him play, which is actually
Wow.
pretty cool.
oh my god.
Um, I did not know about this Stormfront cool cover, and I'm a little disappointed in myself. That's all I have
Oh,
to
I
say.
also have another cool album cover, and I don't know the band name, and I don't know if this is really like anything here, but let me pull this over here. So this is it's a radar image of some sort of hurricane.
Oh, very cool. That
I
is very
don't
cool.
know, and it's called Alternating Currents. I don't know this
Spyro
band,
Gyra. I kind of remember that group.
Spyro Gyra. Yeah, I don't
I've heard of
know.
them. I don't really follow them, but I
I
remember.
guess yeah, but either way, I saw this and I'm like, I never heard of this band before, but that's a really cool album cover. So I took that because I'm curious to know really which hurricane this is, but it's definitely cloud tops because you can see like the temperatures on the side. So it's definitely IR. I just don't know which hurricane it is. That's really cool.
That
I
is
just wanted to
really
mention
cool.
that.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Well, I guess some
yeah,
recent songs, involving storms. I think recently there has been, well, within the last couple of years, "This Is What You Came For" by Calvin Harris and Rihanna. Not obviously in the title, but there is a lyric in there that says lightning strikes every time you move. Which is pretty cool. There's a song called Thunderclouds by Sia, Labyrinth, and Diplo. One thing, I think this is cool because it's both in the title of the song and the band name. So the band Snow Patrol, who sings the famous Chasing
Chasing
Cars, which
Cars,
is
right?
probably one of my favorite songs of all time. They have a song called "The Lightning Strike, What If This Storm Ends?" And I actually looked into this a little bit, and it was based off of a storm that the lead singer of Snow Patrol, Gary Lightbody, experienced while he was in Glasgow. And I have a quote right here. Actually, he says, "I was pretty terrified. 150-mile-an-hour winds, trees falling down, but we went outside the house, and it was just so thrilling." There was this howling wind, but it felt like silence, as if our senses were being too bombarded to cope with what was going on. So the record was born out of that feeling, out of two people having a protective shell around each other,
okay,
which is pretty cool. I
Yeah, it
mean,
is.
sounds like fun,
yeah,
but also dangerous, but fun.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
And
So,
another recent one too is Imagine Dragons
I
with
was just about to
Thunder.
mention them.
Yeah.
Yes,
yes, I'm a big fan of that song.
great
It's a good
song.
one.
I almost had the opportunity to see them before they were big, like my freshman year of college, and I will never let myself down from this. I remember they were like we had like these like bands that would like show up to like our it was in the uh
Yes, I know exactly what you're
you know
talking
exactly what
about.
I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
I
there's
can't
like
remember the name, but
but they have bands
you were
show up.
there?
What?
Imagine Dragons was there?
No, no,
Oh,
this is
oh, oh.
my story of how I'm, like, kicking myself because
Oh,
For
okay.
I
not
didn't do
going.
this.
Yeah.
Right. It was in the hub, Jen,
Yes, yes, yes.
and it was in one of those little auditoriums, and my friend was like, "I have 2 extra tickets, I can't go to see, Imagine Dragons perform," and I'm like, "I don't know who that
Who
is,
are they?
whatever, I don't care." This was, 2012, and so I'm like, "I don't know who this is, I don't care," and then, of course, I think literally like the next year they released like the song that made them go viral
Yeah.
and pretty much got them into popularity. And I'm like, oh, same thing happened with the Chainsmokers.
And
I
Doja Cat.
and Doja Cat, really?
Yeah, she was there my freshman year, and I
Huh.
was like, "Who's that?" Which
Oh, I think I remember hearing her name.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
The
and
It's
she
fun.
was
Chainsmokers
like,
did a song with Coldplay.
Yes,
Was it
yes, they
Coldplay?
did. Yes,
Yeah,
it
with
was
Coldplay. Yeah,
Coldplay.
yeah.
And that's why I'm like, oh, that's cool. Okay, I think that was literally the year before they released, I think, Selfie.
yes,
Uh the Chainsmokers. So like they performed like literally outside of the hub. It was literally a free concert. You can go and show up. And now it's like now you have to pay to see these artists. So it's
right,
crazy how like you see so many artists that like, and
up
I'm
and
sure
coming artists,
like
yeah,
Billy Joel, you could probably go to the bar, maybe you pay a cover, but like you go see the artist and like they're like a no name or they're like still becoming someone, and then all of a sudden now you got to pay like $200 to see them at Madison Square Garden. It's like it's insane how that ends up happening.
it is, it is. And I think we have to mention another artist like this, a New Jersey native, Bruce Springsteen, has the
Oh,
famous song "Thunder Road."
Bruce.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Bruce Springsteen just has a ton of great songs.
That's
And
very
his
cool.
concert's actually
He's
coming
from
up soon here.
Saraville, right?
Um,
I bel somewhere around
I think
there.
it is only because I only know that because I grew up in Edison, and everyone always was like, oh, Bruce Springsteen just grew up.
Long Branch.
Oh, is it Long Branch? Okay.
Long Branch, yeah, in
Sure.
Monmouth County. Actually, there is a 10th Avenue freeze out. I think there is based off of, I believe, a street in the area, 10th Avenue, and also East Street Band was pretty much East Street.
Oh,
So
cool.
all of that stuff is related to really where he grew up.
Yeah,
So it's crazy, and of course he's going to be at MetLife Stadium at the end of the month. So I mean, I'm going to one of those concerts. I'm pretty excited
that's awesome.
to see
He
him
Were you
live.
at the show, Priante, where they where he came out with Coldplay. Coldplay brought him out. That was the night I was there at
Ugh.
MetLife last year.
No, I was
The
the
night
show
before,
before
maybe.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, that was awesome.
I saw what's her name. I forgot her name, but she sang that La 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 song. I forgot what Out of My Head. I forgot what that song was called. Actually, let me look it up here.
Oh, I know exactly who now. I know the song. Yes, yes.
But yeah, I mean, I saw her. I mean, hey, she's great. But like Bruce Springsteen, I mean,
You can't really
um,
beat that.
I was so upset. And I was like, oh my god, really? Like I missed Bruce Springsteen by 1 day. By 1 day, he couldn't have brought him on the Saturday. Nope. So I'm like, but anyway, it is what it is. All right. I think we have talked a lot about storms. Let's get into the winter.
Let's move on to winter.
Yeah, okay. Let's do that. So obviously the best song out of the entire list is Let It Go, and that's it, right?
And that's it. Podcast over.
Okay, great. See you. Never mind. All right.
With a very close second of, do you want to build a snowman?
Oh man. No, see now we're gonna turn away people. Now everyone's like, I'm done with this podcast. That's we're done. But no, I mean there's a ton of songs about snow. I mean, you look at the winter time, like Christmas time, there's so many like winter wonderlands. I mean, like it's just let it snow. There's just so many songs about snow. I mean, it's crazy.
And they were done by so many different people too. I mean, the original Winter Wonderland by Ella Fitzgerald. Let It Snow, like you just said, Mike, Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, Andy Williams, Mariah Carey. I mean, everyone did a remake of that song, and I'm probably leaving a bunch of them out. But yeah, that's the big one. Let It Snow, obviously.
Oh, I'm just remembering now. It's Kylie Minogue.
I remember
that
her.
was the
That's
person.
who the one who was
Okay.
with Coldplay. Sorry, I just had that pop up. So, anyway, continue.
She did do the Locomotion song, right?
She did. That's right.
Yeah.
She also did that song. Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes, snow songs. I mean, obviously, we mentioned Snow Patrol. Technically, not the song, but the name of the artist. So
Exactly. And even just, aside from just Christmas or, winter types of snow related songs, there's just, a ton of other snow songs that have the word snow in it. Snow Hey-O by the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I was just gonna
Was a
mention
big
Red Hot
one.
Chili Peppers. Yep.
Yep. I'm bringing it back to Taylor Swift, Snow on the
Oh.
Beach. But that's all I'll say about that. Don't have that much of a backstory with that one, but that's another big one. What else do you have, Brad? What?
There was that weird song by the group. The group was called Snow. It was Informer. That was that was the name of the song.
Oh, Snow.
It was
Yeah.
weird. Yeah, he never did much more than that. I don't think. I mean, maybe he did if there's like somebody out there that actually listens to him a lot. But I do remember that one song. He was like some guy with a shades on and singing Informer. It was just a weird song to me, but I think it was going back to like the '90s. I think.
Wow. Now the good news is that I have Spotify open, so I just searched songs about snow because I know we have a list here, but there's a ton of other songs. Apparently, Ariana Grande has a song called "Snow in California," which is funny because outside of like the mountains, snow in California is very, very tough to do. Although I think it was last year. Didn't they have? Was it Grapple or there was certainly some sort of
LA
like in LA
had,
had some snow, right?
Yeah.
yeah, I think they might have had some
Well, the
gravel.
Sierras
Yeah.
got about what 10 feet of snow
Oh
last
my
year.
gosh, crazy amounts. Yeah.
And then there's a one song. It's there's a song by the Mamas and the Papas, and again, we're going back to my parents' age. I mean, that was actually one of my dad's favorite bands. It was called California Dreamin'. I'm sure
Yep.
everyone's probably heard
Yep.
of it, but it's about
Yes.
getting away from the snow and cold and moving out like to California. So again, that's not really a snow per se, but it's about getting away from snow and cold, from what I read.
Right, right. I mean, yeah, I mean, snow is such a iconic thing in the wintertime. Trying to think if there's any Coldplay songs about snow. I mean, there probably are. I mean, there's a lot of winter
Sure
songs
there is.
related to it, but nothing named snow.
No, I don't think
Um,
so.
but
There was Frank Zappa. Now he was I don't want to say weirdo, but he did a lot of no. Now he did a lot of, I guess, odd songs in his day. He was a very good uh, artist, but he did a song called "Don't Eat the Yellow Snow."
Oh,
Oh, there
So
you go. I mean, good advice. Good
yeah,
advice.
yeah. Don't, and when you think about that, you don't want to eat snow to begin with. I think Mike and I actually did that a long time ago. We melted down some snow, and you don't want to know what's in it. It's not
oh
good.
yeah, I remember the video of melting it, and then there was like
Yeah,
little like particles in there, like dirt particles and
yeah,
stuff. And then
Yeah, yeah,
you don't know
no.
where, you don't know if an animal was walking by and
yeah,
decided to do their
yeah.
business.
Who
You
knows?
have no idea. Um, Outside of that, there's a song by Simon and Garfunkel called "A Hazy Shade of Winter." But I mean, there's just a
Yeah, the
ton of
Bangles
songs.
remade that, I think, in the late '80s, early '90s, or something. Hazy Shade of Winter. That
Right.
was the what was her name from the Bangles? I can't remember her name now.
Well, I know the Bangles. They did the song Walk Like an Egyptian."
Walk Like an Egyptian, but
Yes,
there was
yep.
the lead singer. She went on to an acting career too.
Oh, okay.
Um, if I heard her name though, I'll know it in a second though. Yeah, they did Manic Monday. Susanna Hoffs, that was her name.
Manic Monday, I know that
Yeah.
one too. Yep,
So
yep.
There's also a song by the Grateful Dead called "Cold Rain and Snow." And if you know anything about cold rain, and if you're a weather weenie, you know that that's probably one of the worst nightmares you can have.
like when we had Steve Coppertino on about 33 in rain.
33 degrees in rain. Even 32 degrees in rain is such a like an annoying thing. I mean,
Yeah.
freezing rain can happen, as low as 28 degrees or even lower. I mean,
Yep.
it's all just about how warm the air mass is aloft and how cold it is at the surface to really prevent snowflakes from really holding their shape. But yeah, cold rain, that's just horrible.
And kinda related to the cold rain and freezing rain, excuse me, that might lead to ice, and how about
Yeah.
some ice mentions in songs?
Ice Cube.
Ice
Yes.
Cube.
Vanilla Ice.
Vanilla
Ice
Ice.
Ice
Ice
Baby.
Ice Baby.
Yep,
He does a
yep.
he does a renovation show now. Can you believe that?
Really?
Unlike
Um,
HGTV.
oh, I
Yeah.
was gonna ask what channel, that's
Yeah,
funny.
it's he does some kind of like renovation with ice or something like that. I can't remember.
Is it
Wow, wow.
like Pimp Your Ride, like Ice Your Ride, or
Yeah,
like
yeah, something like
Ice Your
yeah.
House or something like that?
Actually, I met Vanilla Ice. He was a pretty cool guy. He was when I was in
Really?
on the TV side of weather. Um, he was performing at in Charleston the one night, and he came in and he did the whole tour of all the stations in Charleston, and he came in and he did his little 15-minute chat with the anchors. So I got to meet him though off cameras. Pretty cool guy.
Did he do the weather forecast?
No, no,
No, he
no,
didn't.
no.
Oh man, that'd be
He was
cool if
in and
it's like
out
Vanilla
basically.
Ice here giving you the forecast.
Yeah.
And he just starts rapping
Good,
like
it's a good
weather
TV
stuff.
name, right?
Yeah,
Vanilla
this is
Ice.
meteorologist Vanilla Ice here. But anyway, there's a ton of songs. Obviously, like "Cold as Ice" by
It's
Foreigner
a
is
good
probably
Yeah,
one
one.
of the most
that was
Yep.
a
popular
big one.
songs about
Yeah.
ice. Um,
I didn't
you
know
know,
Drake did a song called Ice Melts though. I don't think I've ever heard that song.
I don't think I have either.
I
Hmm.
don't. Yeah, I don't think so. But I mean, obviously, we just mentioned Ice Ice Baby. Um, you know, Britney Spears, "Break the Ice."
Yep, I remember that one.
Little Pump and
Uh,
Quavo did Too Much Ice. I don't think I've ever
there
heard
you
of that one
go.
though.
Too much ice. We have 2 songs about thin ice, "Walking on Thin Ice" by Yoko Ono, and then just "Thin Ice" by Pink Floyd.
Also, Billy Joel has a song "Running on Ice"
There
Oh
you
yeah.
go.
from the Bridge album. So another song that's not nearly as popular as others, but certainly a song that he sung.
And how about "Black Ice" by AC/DC? That's, something that we never wanna happen.
Black Ice?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
don't no, that's something that's yeah, don't if it's cold outside, it rained the night prior, be careful because there could be ice. Or even if like you have piles of snow and it was like 60 degrees during the day and all that melt and it gets to like 30 degrees at night, be careful because you might slip and fall and we don't want that happening. Unrelated to ice though, but just in general cold. Shivers by Ed Sheeran,
Yes,
Hmm.
good one.
you
Good
know?
Yep,
one.
very good.
Yeah, but I mean, like, just you know, such a good just genre, ice songs. But I think now it's time to kind of open the floor for just any random song that we
Yeah.
can think of.
We
that
covered all
has
the
weather.
main precept types, so
I
I guess
think we
there's
did, and
other.
if we didn't, apologies. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a ton of songs. That's like if we were to cover, if our podcast was talking about love songs, we would be here all day. We would probably need multiple episodes to cover every single
Well,
weather
it seems
song.
more and
Or
more like all the main things in any songs, whether it's country or rap or just popular rock and roll. It's either about relationships, money, or weather.
Pretty
well, those
much.
are the main things in our life that affect
Yeah,
us, right?
it
You know, you
basically
can't
is.
go
You're right.
outside without knowing the weather because you might wear the wrong thing, or you might have your travel might be hectic because of the forecast. You can't, obviously love is important to a lot of people, and money kind of makes the world go round
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
You need money.
And how many artists relate love or something to the weather of what the weather condition is like? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but like I listen to certain types of music when it's a certain type of weather
Oh
out.
yeah,
Like if, to me, Fleetwood Mac, like Dreams and that kind of genre screams kind of like a cloudy, cool fall day. I don't know. That's just a me thing. When it's bright and sunny out, I'm listening to, some more upbeat pop music. And, a ton of people relate, happiness with the sun and sadness with the rain, or, certain types of, at certain stages of a relationship with different types of weather. It's very interesting to, kind of see how artists equate that.
Oh yeah, for sure. But
But
I
yeah,
guess
some random songs.
I mean, immediately, like I just thought of because I don't know why, but the Rolling Stones, "She's a Rainbow."
Oh,
Such a
good
good
one.
song. The beginning of the song, just with the piano, it's such a iconic. When you hear that begin, the beginning is technically not the piano, but it's of I think it's like someone yelling, and it's almost like it almost sounds like a train station, but then it goes right into like that little piano medley, and it's beautiful.
And also "Give Me Shelter" by the Rolling Stones
yeah.
makes references to, taking shelter from a storm.
Well, who can't forget a popular song by Bette Midler, "Wind Beneath My Wings."
Yep,
I mean, that's
yep.
just used on every possible facet of movies or shows. I remember that one was in Seinfeld, even when she did her guest star
Oh,
on
yeah.
it. She was singing it.
Yes, exactly.
"Steal My Sunshine." That was a one-hit wonder, but a great one for Len. I don't know if you
Okay.
guys remember that one.
I
That
don't
was
know if I know that one.
yeah, it was a fun song. It was a good video actually, but that was all they did. But it's called "Steal My Sunshine." It was a pretty good song.
Okay, how about "Dust in the Wind" by
Oh yeah,
Kansas? You know,
Kansas. Yeah,
"Dust in the Wind" sounds like a dust storm to me, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we also have, wild if we're talking about kinda dust storms and random weather things, "Wildfires," a song by John Mayer.
Wildfire.
Don't
Yeah.
know if you guys know that one.
Well, then there's a group called Sandstorm. Um,
Oh,
and
Darude
Rude.
Sandstorm
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Oh, I guess the song is Sandstorm by Darude, but
by Darude.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
Which
no
everyone
lyrics.
look that up after, you will know it. I was originally read this list and I was like, "I don't know that," and then I played it
Yeah,
and I was like, "Oh, I
it's
know this."
if you've ever gone to a do dancing anywhere, even
Yes.
today they still play it. It's a great upbeat, kind of get you going.
"Good Day Sunshine," the
Hmm.
Beatles.
Yep, very good one.
"Revolver," really
And
good
"Here
album.
Comes the Sun,"
Oh, they
you
really
know?
like their Sunshine.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
I
Um,
Beatles.
mean,
Here comes the
if we're
sun.
talking about, we talked about a lot of like storms and rain and, actual precipitation falling, but there's a lot of songs related to, clear blue skies and sunny weather.
I wonder what song this is
Um,
gonna be about.
Mr. Blue Sky might be one.
Might be,
Um,
yeah.
ELO, yeah, Electric Light Orchestra.
that one's actually interesting because it literally starts out with his voice saying
Today's forecast calls yeah, it's great.
exactly, yep. Yep, today's forecast calls for blue skies. That's one of my favorites. There's also, Solar Power by Lord. Ain't No Sunshine, Bill
Oh,
Withers.
Bill
That's a good
Withers,
one.
what a good
That's a really
artist.
good one. And then we got some Pocket Full of Sunshine by Natasha Bedingfield. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot. Walking on
Walking on
Sunshine.
Sunshine. Yeah, Katrina and the Waves. How can you forget that
Yep,
one?
that's another big, sunshine song. So yeah, there's a lot of songs that mention, the sun and nice kind of calm, mundane weather.
Now, Jen, you found this one, Heat Waves by the Glass Animals.
Yes, that's a recent, probably last year, I would say.
I've heard of Glass Animals. Yeah, they do another song though. I think I can think of, but not.
The Other Side of Paradise, that's their
Maybe
another
that's
big
what
one.
it is. Yeah.
But Heat Waves is really good. I would definitely recommend it. Yeah, no, that's another good one. Kind of a bit more of a random one, but I'm gonna have to shout out Taylor again.
Oh, okay.
I have to because this one is such a specific weather reference that I'm so proud of her. She talks about the jet stream, and yeah, and I know. And in this song, that's not one of her most famous, but it's from her album called Reputation. She has a song called Call It What You Want, and she says, "My babies fly like a jet stream high above the whole scene." And when I first heard that, I was like, wow, I love her. She mentions the jet stream. That's awesome. And she kind of used it in a okay context of, the jet stream is, fast moving and is pretty high up there. So
Now, what's this other one with Taylor Swift? Now, I got to ask you this because you're a Swiftie. The song "Cruel Summer."
Yes.
Okay, now is that the remake of the Bananarama song
It is
"Cruel
not.
Summer"? It's not. Okay, I wasn't sure.
It is not. No.
Bananarama. What a good band name.
Yeah.
And it's not even really weather related. It just has a season in it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean that's a jam. Highly recommend before the summer is over that everyone give that a listen because that is a great on the way to the beach song to just scream in the car.
Also, I totally forgot another CCR song. Who'll Stop the Rain?
Who'll Stop the Rain? Good one, yeah.
Yes.
Another
Yes.
good song,
That's another
rain
good one.
related. I mean, I just have my whole list of weather songs that I pulled up on Spotify. A ton of
gosh,
songs.
yeah.
Under Pressure, kind
Yep.
of. I mean, pressure pushing down on me. I mean, obviously barometric pressure is what comes to mind. It could be another type of pressure, but I still just pressure in general. It's kind of a weather related thing.
And one other rain one that I don't know if you guys remember Milli Vanilli, but it was that song called "Blame It on the Rain."
Blame It on the Rain.
Okay.
They
I
were
think I've heard
caught.
of
They
that,
were
yeah.
caught lip syncing everything basically.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
they got into
Oh
big
boy.
trouble. Yeah, they got in big
Oh my
trouble.
god. Sweater Weather by The Neighborhood.
Yep.
I've
That's a
heard of
good
that
one.
song. Yeah,
That's a good one.
that's a great song. There's another song actually by a band. They're not big, but they're up and coming. The band's called Lawrence.
Okay.
They're from Brooklyn, I believe, and there's a song called The Weather, and it's literally about like the singer. She's talking about like I won't talk about the weather, and it's about like a breakup. It's a breakup song pretty much, like an ex and whatever, and then it mentions about like wildfires in California, but like it's funny because the whole purpose of the song is because like weather is it's like one of those things that people talk about like, oh, it's a small talk, whatever, like, nice weather we're having today. So like I won't talk about the weather is kind of more so related to that, but I find it funny because it's like, if I talk about the weather, it's not going to be about small talk. It's literally going to dive into some sort of like just rant about, oh my God, this and that and whatever. And it's like, all right, I won't talk
Exactly.
about it. So it's funny
Yeah,
that
a little
song,
nerding out. Yeah. Yeah.
like I will literally talk about the weather in that instance. But that's another song that I listen to and pretty much mentions the weather in the song. So um but man, I mean, there's a ton. I mean, Brad, you had was that you or was that Mike that had that in the list? It's a Sunshine Day by the Brady Bunch.
Yeah. It was one of the episodes of the Brady Bunch. I mean, that just again shows my age. But I used to watch the Brady Bunch, and they actually did a song called "It's a Sunshine Day," and
I think I've heard of that song
yeah,
before.
you have to look it up. It's
Yeah.
Jan Brady and Bobby and all of them just singing. I guess they had a little band every once in a while. They get together and jam out, but they did a song called "The Sunshine Day."
What about the wind? Are any songs about the wind?
Against the Wind, that was a big one. Bob Seger,
We said
Silver
Dust
Bullet
in the
Band.
Wind, but yeah, Bob Seger.
Yeah,
That's a good
that's probably
song.
the big one.
Maybe it's something about a candle, right?
Maybe a little something about a candle by Elton John.
Oh, Elton
Just a
John,
little
yeah.
bit about candle.
What was her name?
Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, I got to edit that part. Yeah, he wrote that about Marilyn Monroe. It was a tribute to her after she passed away.
Okay.
Oh,
You,
wow, I didn't know
I
that.
had
Yeah.
no idea that either.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
news to
The
me.
lyrics were all about her, yeah, and basically,
But you know what's better than one candle in the wind, Brad and Jen? 5,000 candles in the wind.
Oh.
And if you understand that reference, give yourself a pat on the back because that is from one of my favorite TV shows, Parks and Recreation, where the character Andy Dwyer, he pretty much has to like think up a song for this like concert, and it's basically after the little pony that's pretty much a celebrity in the town, little Sebastian, unfortunately passes away. Anyway,
What about some, anyone know of any songs related to weather instruments? Because I happen to know one.
weather instruments.
Yeah, or something used that
Like
we look at to
thermometers?
well, either that or something that we use to watch the weather.
a sling psychrometer.
You don't
Yes, there's
watch
a
the
song about
weather
a
with a
sling
sling.
psychrometer. I'm thinking specifically, by Harry Styles. He has a recent song called "Satellite."
Oh, I've
Um
heard of another song called there's a Satellite's a popular name. I've heard of a song called Satellite
Yeah,
before,
Dave
not by
Matthews
Harry
did that
Styles.
song too, didn't he?
Oh, is there? I
Dave
don't know.
Matthews sang a song, yeah, called Satellite. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
And there's
Yeah.
also a ton of songs with the word radar in it. I think
Yeah.
Britney
Okay.
Spears has a song called Radar. I'm looking this up.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, I didn't think about weather instruments, but that's an interesting thing. There's probably a ton of songs talking about like thermometer or like I don't know, like you said, but
Well, I think the next thing I'm gonna do is write a song about a
sling
psychrometer, and I think
psychrometer.
that's gonna be an absolute top 100 Billboard hit right there.
That's gonna be
What the heck is
platinum.
she singing about, this girl?
Yeah, exactly. I do have to give a shout out to another one of my favorite songs of all time, "Drops of Jupiter" by
Oh yeah,
Train.
Rain.
There's a lot of mentions of seasons in there. Acts like summer, listens like spring, and then we're talking about walking like rain. So there's a lot of kind of weather mentions in there as well.
Yeah, they were just
Um,
at Music Fest in Allentown a couple back on at the end of Music Fest on Sunday, August 13th.
oh wow, okay,
I kind of wanted to
okay.
see him, but I didn't.
There's a song by Hank Williams, if you know Hank Williams, Brad.
No, I've heard his name. Yeah, didn't he sing? He did the Monday Night Football thing, right?
Did he? Well, this is Hank Williams Jr. I don't know if that
Yeah,
was
yeah,
the
he did the original Monday Night Football.
he did. I had
Yep.
no idea.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, he sings this song called Weatherman, and it's talking about like Mr. Weatherman, what is your forecast? Like bring us good weather. And it's funny because the whole song is literally talking about a guy hoping the weather is good and watching the news, and it's like the weather comes up. So, yeah. Shout out to Joe Slezak who pretty much meteorologist here, at WeatherWorks, recommended me the song, and I listened to it a lot. So, really good song.
All right, let's I think we're just about done, but we have to have one last mention. And the word tornado, I think there's one other song written by a group called Little Big Town. They did a song called Tornado. But we got to mention Somewhere Over the Rainbow
Mm.
because everyone's seen The Wizard of Oz, of course. And actually, that may have gotten me going into weather when I first saw that. I was actually
Really?
scared of that whole scene when the tornado came and picked up, the whole house. And of course, that was written by Judy Garland, who was in The Wizard of Oz. So,
Oh,
definitely a
she
shout
wrote
out.
it. Okay.
She
I did.
wrote
I
it,
didn't. I
yeah.
didn't know she wrote it. I thought she just sung it.
No, I think she wrote it too. But again, it wasn't really the weather song, but the tornado,
Well,
she sang it after the tornado happened and brought her
rainbows
to
are
Oz.
weather.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Rainbows are a
true.
and
weather-related
that's just a
phenomenon.
classic. You can't not mention that.
Yeah, that's true. But so
Wow.
what else? We got anything else?
I mean, obviously we're hitting almost the we're getting close to the 1 hour mark, and I don't want to keep going on. We could talk for another hour, honestly, on this topic.
Yes,
There's just so many songs. I'm
we could talk
sure
for another 2 hours on this topic.
we could probably. I'm sure Jen, you could probably talk about Taylor Swift for another.
For 2 hours, yes, and more weather references and Taylor Swift
I
songs.
mean, you could probably
Exactly.
break it down lyric by lyric, and I'm sure we could do that. But
Era
obviously,
by era, Mike.
era by era, for sure. But I think that is about it for this episode.
All right, well, Jen and Mike, this has been a very interesting and fun podcast for sure. Jen, great to have you on. We'll definitely have you back, especially if we do a Taylor Swift podcast.
Yeah, I am. Thanks for having me, and I am always in for a Taylor Swift podcast or really anything else. Just let me know. I love kind of joining you guys
Yeah.
and talking with you.
Yeah, we'll definitely have you back on. Mike, of course, we'll be chatting here for the next podcast as well, which is going to, at least right now, we're planning on August the 30th is going to be our first winter preview on the podcast here in the Weather Lounge. So definitely want to tune in for that, and any other podcast you want to listen to going back to boy, how long have we been doing this, Mike? Now almost 3 years,
August of
right?
2020, almost
Right.
about 3 years
About
actually
3 years.
month.
So,
Yes.
again, tune in on all your podcast platforms. We're on all the big ones, of course. But until then, you can check us out also on the web, weatherworksinc.com. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram as well. Tuning in with us in 2 weeks for the first winter preview of 2022, I should say 2023, 2024. So join us then, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.